The mission of the Weldon City School District is to create and maintain a highly effective educational system in which every student receives the highest quality education. School employees and parents work together to prepare students to become caring, competent, and responsible citizens who value education as a lifelong process.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sarah. At this time, we'll ask that you look at your agenda and a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Hill and second by Ms. Kim Robinson that the agenda be approved. All in favor, are there any questions? All in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, approval of minutes.
Move that the minutes be approved as written. Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Robinson and second by Ms. Hill that the minutes be approved as read. Are there any questions? All in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Next, we will have recognition and celebration by Mr. Stevens.
Evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. Today, we have a host of students and parents and staff that we want to honor during our recognitions. We do have two from the previous meeting that we want to recognize here tonight. That's Mr. Acting Chief Gordon Williams. No, okay. And then also Miss Connie Wheeler as well. Yes, come on up, please. Equal employee of the month. Thank you, and your time to get you a picture. Oh, it's double-sided. You can't have that chart in front. All right, next we'd like to recognize the student of the month for April for Weldon Elementary Global Academy. That is second grader Arion Patterson. Arion is always prepared to learn. He works hard to complete classwork and homework. Arion is very responsible and sets a good example for others. He's always polite in class and a very good helper. Arion always comes with a positive attitude and a desire to learn. Congratulations. Now to your side. Oh, nice. All right, let's get down just a little bit. All right. Thank you. Next, also from Weldon Elementary, is the staff member of the month. And that person has truly made a difference at Weldon Elementary Global Academy. Since his arrival, he has hit the floor running and he demonstrated his dedication to keeping our building clean. Mr. Alvin Arrington's determination has motivated him to work on weekends, making sure that he is able to make the building safe and presentable for staff and students. We are glad to have him as a part of our family. Congratulations, Mr. Alvin Arrington. I've had those in order. Let me give you this. Let's just get a picture with it.
Congratulations.
Let's get one in there. You just. So keep your head, Photoshop that in there. All right. One. Perfect. Next, also from Weldon Elementary, is Parent of the Month. Miss Major Alston, excuse me. Miss Major Alston is great and always friendly and willing to help wherever they can. I would like to nominate this person as our Parent of the Month for their dedication to ensuring academic success of their children by communicating with the teachers as well as the administrators. They're dependable, and we are proud of them for all they do on a daily basis to build, maintain relationships with the Lega family. Major Alston. You go. All right, next from Weldon High School, we'd like to acknowledge Dariante Sharon as the Student of the Month. His current former teacher, Dariante, goes the distance far and beyond when it comes to meeting all academic expectations. One teacher said he is a source of inspiration to his classmates in Sustainable Agriculture Production Class 2. He finished his work ahead of his classmates, and he can be trusted to complete extra tasks independently or with minimal teacher supervision in the greenhouse. Some of his classes, once he completed his classwork, would always volunteer or ask if the teacher had some additional classwork or assignments for him to do. He makes us proud daily here in charge of them. Here we are. Oh. You like how we still have signed everything and on the website? Next, Student of the Month for Weldon Middle School. Weldon Middle School is happy to have Aiden Bell as the Student of the Month. Aiden has such a big heart, selfless, caring, and hardworking are just a few ways to describe what a great student he is. He consistently puts the best interest of others ahead of his own. He is a friend to all and offers a helping hand to any student or teacher in need. We are proud to have Aiden, our school president. Congratulations.
Right.
All right. Well, the middle school has an employee of the month to be honored. This person is an outstanding teacher and makes a positive impact on our team. He's a hard worker who always goes beyond the goals set for our school. He arrives at work each day with a smile and happily greets his coworkers. He is a mentor to all of our beginning teachers, communicates effectively with all his coworkers, and he sets a great example for the young men that attend Weldon Middle School. The employee of the month is Corey Odom. We will give it Corey at a later date. Last but certainly not least, Arvec has 2 students for Student of the Month. They are the definition of exemplary students. They complete assignments and arrive to class on time. They're willing to help their classmates with difficult content, and they recently worked on starting a flag football team for Arvec. These students are hardworking and motivated to succeed. Those students are Dylan Manyanga and Ariana Rook. We're going to move over to the principal. Next, we have 3 other students we'd like to honor. Those would be our Governor's School nominees. These 3 outstanding individuals represented Weldon for the Governor's School nomination process. And one of them actually will be going to Governor's School this summer as well. So let's honor these outstanding students. Janelle Baker. Let's stay up here because we'll get all the picture together. Gary Fontaine. You ready? And then last, certainly not least, Tyree Brooks, who will be retiring.
Thank you.
Then what will you be studying this summer?
Social science.
All right, all right.
Okay.
You want to move over just a little bit? I think y'all are better than the podium. All right. 1, 2. Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
And we have just a couple of events for schools right now. Obviously, as many parents and teachers and students know, we're going into testing full steam ahead. So far, so good is the communication we're getting back from the schools. But also there are a couple of field trips, 2 in particular of note. Elementary school going to Asheboro to the zoo at the end of the month, and then also to Virginia to the zoo. I believe that's next week, correct? Yes. Great. And then also we have a class going to Edenton for the White Oak Walk in Edenton, downtown historic Edenton. They say it's historic. I don't know. Okay. All right. That concludes our recognitions.
Okay, let's see. At this time, we have a report from the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. I want to speak to that, Dr. Williams.
Yes, good evening, all. My understanding that there was a family emergency with the presenters of the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And they will have to reschedule a time to come to present to the board.
Okay, next will be the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening to Chair Williams, Vice Chair Hale, board members, Attorney Weber, executive cabinet members, our esteemed guests, and all in attendance. Much appreciation for our Board of Education for the support and guidance to the students and staff of Weldon City Schools. I hope that each of you has had a wonderful holiday spring break since we convened last month. Charger Nation returned with the beginning of our intense intervention boot camp at each school as we prepare for the ELG and ELC exams for the 2022-23 school year. Thank you to our central office staff, the principals, teachers, and staff for your hard work as we move forward toward the final stretch of this school year. The summer learning program has been planned for the instructional remediation retest academics session. Last year, we had over $1 million to use for summer learning. This year, we have approximately, the budget approximately $250,000 for summer learning. Therefore, we do not have the funds to offer extended learning as we did last year because of the budget. We lost our director of transportation last month, meaning he resigned and moved on. But we're not planning to post and to refill that position. Therefore, we have redistributed those duties to other staff members in order to have a continuous flow of support for our transportation department. As we continue the planning effort for Weldon High School staff and students to transition to Weldon Middle School this fall, the state superintendent's support team assistants for Weldon City Schools shared in their comprehensive need assessment the need of an assistant principal position based on the following criteria. Number one, to improve the quality of instruction, the principal will have more time to facilitate instruction and to be the instructional leader while keeping the main thing the main thing. The principal will have more time to collaborate with all teachers and build their capacity to enhance teaching practices for the success of all students. The principal can be intentional with academic planning and carrying out rigorous practices to meet individual needs of students and teachers. The second criteria is to improve school safety. To assist the principal with equipping teachers with clear and consistent expectations for managing student behavior, thereby reducing classroom disruption and maximizing learning time. An assistant principal can be visible and more accessible to monitor students during the transitions on the bus lot, drop off, cafeteria for breakfast and lunch, and athletic events. An assistant principal can be visible and more accessible to monitor the need to keep students separated during the 6-12 transitions of the middle school, as well as to monitor and keep students separated during the 6-12 school merger of the new school. So I'm sharing this information with the board and with the public, so you can know that there is a transition happening as we move forward into this fall for combining both high school and elementary school just prior to the merger of both schools into one building in the year 2026. This ends my report, and I thank you for your time.
Reverend Sykes.
Dr. Williams, in the report that you just gave, is the state expecting us to, or not expecting us, because of course, clearly it's a choice of the board, to try to put a new superintendent, not superintendent, please forgive me, assistant principal in place for 2023-24 school year?
That is correct.
Follow it.
Go ahead.
The state at present time is not funding our school district only a half of the funding for an assistant principal. Now, if we're gonna have another one, did they say anything to you or other superintendents about how they're going to fund the districts to have another assistant principal at a school? Because if they're not going to fund it, but they're recommending that we have it, that means another salary, and that means less funds going to actually go to our students because we're paying another pretty healthy position. So is any funding coming with this? Are they planning to appropriate anything else for us?
Thank you for the question, Reverend Sykes. My understanding from a Dr. Tanya Head and Dr. Catherine Stickney is that there are funds that will be available this upcoming year in our restart funds that will allow for such a position to be had, recognizing the need. They also indicated that there will be funds available that will cover that from restart this upcoming year.
So quick follow-up, got that. So they're going to appropriate enough funding to cover the salary of the assistant principal now and the new. Because right now, we're having to take funds, of course, you know, from local to make up the difference in salary for the assistant principal that we have now. So they're gonna cover both, so it won't continue to impact us locally.
Correct. My understanding that the restart funds will be adequate sufficiently enough to take care of the assistant principal position.
Just the one.
Well, they didn't talk about the other. I mean,
Okay.
That was no discussion. They were looking at the middle school and the needs at the middle school, and to have with the guidance and with the criteria that I just stated to
Right.
you is the rationale behind having someone there to help kind of guide and assist with safety concerns, to keep students separate, middle and high. Therefore, not only at the middle school moving that way, but when they transition back to the new 612 school, the same thing would be accessible and available for security and safety and as such, once the merger of the new school happens.
And I know it's nothing that you can say or do, but we've been told many times before, and of course, it's not just here with us, but all across the state, the lack of funding from the state for, you know, the APs. I'll say it in that respect. And I would really like to hear something more concrete or more tangible as far as finance is concerned. And of course, I know you don't control that, but I wish they would give some kind of guarantee. I almost want to say that if we do this, that it won't impact us locally, because every time we do that, that's funding we're taking away from the students. And sometimes I just say, I don't think sometimes people get it, you know, being in a tier 1 county, but they expect the same need, you know, the same thing across the larger districts in the state. That's my only concern.
Okay, so you have action there. Can we have a motion then that we approve the position based upon funding?
I would like to approve it. I've been asking for an assistant down at the middle school, so I'm all for it. And I make a motion to approve for a position pending the funding. We hear more about that, but to create a position for assistant principal at the middle school. Second.
There's been a motion by Ms. Hale and second by Ms. Harrison to approve a position of assistant principal at the middle school based upon funding. Are there any questions? All in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I guess this last concern. This position will not be posted until the new school year, then, right?
Well, you with administrators, oftentimes say if you're that good and I am your superintendent, I won't so readily let you go. And if you wait till the new school year, well, you will be September, October before that person gets there. So, yeah.
And I'm well aware that I knew that was going to be the answer, but we don't have funding. That's my only concern. And if we're promised funding and we haven't actually seen in black and white funding, then it's gonna put us right back in the situation that we were in several years ago of having administrators and the state not give us enough funding to cover it, and then we're dipping into local. And every year we dip into local, that means our fund balance is steadily, unless county commissioners gonna make it up. That's my only concern, that, they told Dr. Williams that, and he brought it to us, but they haven't put pen to paper as far as the money is concerned, and I would hate for us to appropriate or say, position, and then they say, well, hey, we're only gonna give you enough money to cover one, okay, and we have two, so we still even further that we have to pay. That's my concern.
Her motion was with funding,
Right.
with funding.
I have
Okay.
something I need to
Go ahead, Ms. Perry.
say. Please make sure this is in the minutes. It is not that I don't want us to have an assistant principal. I'd love to have them at every school. However, knowing the nature of our funds, I'm very concerned right now about that. And then secondly, when we approved the assistant principal, initially, we were told that it was going to be a 3-2. I don't think that has happened at all. So that's another concern that I have. 3-2. Supposed to be shared is what we were told.
Yeah.
But that never happened. And that's nothing against the assistant principal, because I'm sure he's just doing what he was told to do, but that was what was supposed to happen, and that never happened.
All right, thank you, Ms. Red.
Board members,
But-
for clarity, so the motion is to approve the position pending a commitment from DPI to provide
Yes,
funds.
correct.
Is it the board's expectation that if DPI cannot give you that commitment, that Dr. Williams would come back to you?
Yes.
Yes.
I can go along with that.
Thank-
And may I additionally say, and we've not gotten into that, we'll talk about that when we talk about a date for the proposed budget to the county commissioners. That is also indicated and highlighted in the proposal. Now, of course, we've not heard back from the county commissioners yet as to if they would fund an assistant principal position, but it is, when you look at this, and I gave each of you one of these, you will see that that is listed and highlighted in this proposal. And mind you, a proposal is nothing any greater than a good wish list until they get it, analyze it, kick it around, and then determine what they will fund and how much of it they will fund. So that is yet to be determined as well. So we were looking at it on two different set of lenses for funding sources. But this is yet to be determined, as is that from DPI. We'll just wait and see. But this is what we were told.
Okay, so next item,
Got a very quick question, and doesn't have to be answered. I hope there's an answer. Dr. Williams, I just heard you say what you gave to us. That's what the county commissioners have, correct?
That is correct.
How do they have that and we haven't approved it?
Because it is a wish list. It is not your final budget. It's my understanding that Weldon City Schools, that was how we did it in the past years, and that's the same way it happened this year. And so that's what I was told by the county manager, as well as from Nan Wall last year. So therefore, it just happened the same way that I'm told that you did it before.
okay,
They had a timeline they had to deal with, and so it had to be with them at a certain time frame.
okay, move on to the next item is the board chair report. First of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to all the birthday people this month. Happy anniversary as well. I'd like to say that we had some students from the high school in Olivet that was recognized by the Halifax Community College for making either the dean's list or principal list. They were recognized in a program at 11 o'clock yesterday. So I want to say congratulations to those students, congratulations to Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Pullen for their leadership in those positions. And I'd like to say to the parents, guardians, caretakers, and everyone, we're coming down to the end of the year. And it's coming crunch time now. The EOY, the end of year test, for the elementary school, and a grade test for the high school and all that. Push those students that in your families to do the best they can. They need to start getting the rest and whatnot. It's daylight saving time. They've been staying outside playing until dark. But now when it gets dark, it's about 9 o'clock. So that may take away a little study time, but continue to put emphasis on that, and let's finish the year strong. Thank you so much. At this time, we have Mr. Edwards, coming up with the financial report.
Good evening, everyone. Board Chair, Mr. Superintendent, fellow board members. Financial report for Fund 2 for March. We started with revenue beginning balance of $1,869,612.56. Total deposits for the month were $110,816.91, with a year-to-date total of $1,980,429.47. Okay, with expenditures at the beginning of the month being $1,779,253.34, and expenditures for the month of $235,791.34. With a month end and year-to-date total of $2,015,044.68, with a net result for the year of a negative $34,615.21. But that still gives us an unobligated fund balance of $1,319,716.30.
Excuse me, Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Are you doing,
Fund
funded
two.
two?
Yes,
Okay, we don't have those figures that you have, but you just read on. Am I looking at it right? Or I could be wrong.
So did you update it recently?
It's,
as I was told, this is the one that was provided to you guys. I'm sorry, you all from the assembly, or am I incorrect? Because I did update one and it replaced it with this. This replaced the one that we made.
okay,
We don't
We
have.
don't have that.
Yeah, we
Sorry.
don't have
The
that.
numbers that you read out, let us, if you will, Mr. Evans, go back through it so that we can,
Okay,
the expenditures.
we have beginning balance, $1,869,612.56.
Okay, we have that.
Total months deposit, $110,816.91,
Mhm.
with a year-to-date total of $1,980,429.47.
Yes.
Expenditures at the beginning of the month were $1,779,253.34.
Okay.
With months or expenditures for the month of $235,791.34.
That's where it's
Okay,
at,
that's where it's
700.
We had 235,
690.
690, 86.
I'll get you the corrected one
Okay.
as well.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
And I believe I know where that, because I sent out a corrected one, and like I said, you may not have received it in time. There was a bank service charge of $100 and 48 cents. That may have been the difference that has occurred. Okay. So that leaves year to date, $2,015,044.68. And the net result of $34,615.21.
Yes, back to 514.73, 34.5. All of us gonna be off because all of us gonna be off now because it makes.
Yeah, because of that one.
Yeah, so that's good.
So when you send us the corrected version.
Yes.
take it up.
Thank you.
We can send that in the Friday update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Fund 4, capital outlay. Our beginning balance in revenues was for the month of March. $64,203.74. Am I looking at? Yeah. No, I had a misprint here, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a different month. I will have to get the capital outlay to you as well. For some reason, my notes did not follow up with me as well. Sorry about the confusion. I will get that to you.
Okay.
Next, we do have child nutrition for the month of March. Which is Fund 5. Our beginning revenue balance of $434,818.57. Everybody? All right, thank you. Thank you. And total months deposits of $53,856.07. For a year to date, total of $488,674.64.
Yeah.
Expenditures at the beginning of the month were $534,211.22, with a total month's expenditures of $74,075.64, and a year-to-date expenditure total of $608,286.86. The net result for the year of a negative $119,612.22, but giving us an unobligated fund balance of $209,927.60. Our Fund 8, which is our local expense fund for the month of March. Our beginning balance for revenues, $366,026.56. Total months deposits were $153,010.55, and a year-to-date total of $519,037.11. Expenditures for Fund 8 for the beginning of the month were $568,458.43, and total months expenditures were $140,791.31, with a year-to-date balance for expenditures of $709,249.74. A net result for the year of a negative $190,212.63. And an unobligated fund balance of $490,776.85. The next thing is the all program code report for March. Like I said, it's listed in order of fund first, the program second, the PRC description, and then the current and remaining balances as in those particular entities. Next,
Question.
yes.
So I'm looking at PRC 29, and this may be a Ms. Fields question, I'm not sure. But I'm looking at PRC 29, and it says that we have remaining balance is 54. I know we recently hired someone in that position. If we don't use all these funds, what are we gonna have to do with those?
I do believe Ms. Fields and Mr. Futrell would have a better answer for that. But what I have talked to them about that, and they do tell me the different scenarios. But like I said, I would think they have a better explanation for that particular PRC.
Okay,
There was a reversion for PRC 29.
it was,
Yeah, due to the specialist being hired in February. So we were gonna use all of those funds. 65,000 was given for, but of course, we just got here in February, so that amount, will be spent back because it wouldn't be used.
so we'll have to send back.
It was roughly 28.6. And the reversion is not counted against us as long as it's done in a timely manner. The paperwork was submitted and it was.
Okay. What about, because students we have the compensatory time, I'm sure that some students were owed that because we didn't have anyone until February. So how are they going about getting their services?
We
And
don't owe any compensatory time for PRC 29.
we don't,
No.
even not
The
having
EC
anyone?
teachers provided the services before we got the special. They knew they would update their VIPs and do the service.
Okay, so I'll ask my next question when we get to the ECPs then, so I won't keep holding up Mr. I still have another question.
Okay.
It was 167, I don't think it was. Something with ESSER, I know. But it's related to EC services.
And then we'll come back to you when you get it, Ms. Webb.
Do you know what 167 is used for? Because I know it's like a F, so it's like something federal, is that what that is?
Well, like I said, if it's in the Fund 3 category,
Mhm.
and do you believe it is, or?
I believe it is. It was something I was reading the other day. And I saw that 167.
If perhaps when it comes back to you, Ms. Webb, Ross can address it. But in the meantime, you can go to the amendments and stuff.
All right. On the amendments, we have a federal amendment, the second one for the fiscal year. that needs to be voted on and taken action. Basically, like I said, these are amendments to the budget, an increase for the budget in the federal category. You can look at these individually and vote on them or as a one. But there, like I said, there is an amendment for the federal and amendments for the state budget as well.
Get a motion to approve the amendments. Yes, sir.
Mr. Edwards, you said all of these are for increase?
I believe there was one for a decrease, I'm sorry. And yeah, the last one, amendment 12. What happened is in the previous amendment, before this one, amendment 11, there was a $2 increase in the budget. And then the state allotment took that $2 away. So that was just how it worked out.
I only ask because I'm looking at all of the amendments and everything says decrease. Everything has in parentheses, decrease, decrease, decrease.
No. If it's,
I'm looking at.
if the number does not have parentheses around it, like on amendment 12, where you see the $2 has the parentheses, that indicates the decrease part.
So the writing then doesn't go along with the number.
Well, it does, like, if you look at one that like, I'll give you an example. On amendment, federal amendment number 2, you have an increase of $14,280.87. And it's an increase because there's no parentheses around it, because if it was a decrease, just like the wording says, it would be a parentheses around the number. Because it's an increase, there's no parentheses.
I got you now.
All right?
I got you now.
Yes, sir.
So I think it was something I was reading probably from DPI. I was trying to see if I could find it again there, but it was related to the CARES Act for EC services. I'm not sure if it's a different PCR here, but what I read through the information from DPI had it as 167. So do you have that listed with another, I think it was DPI I was looking at. Anyway, I was reading it the other day and it was CARES Act. And it was for EC, so it was like ESSER F. Do we have it coded as a different one?
No, if it is listed as a PCR, I'm saying a PRC that is relegated by the state, we may not receive those particular funds here in our district.
I think we probably should, but I'll keep looking. And if I come across it tomorrow, then I'll shoot it to you.
We got a motion for the amendment.
I have a question before we move on, Mr. Chair. Amendment number 10. Under your decrease line item, under salary, assistant principal.
Yes,
Does that mean an act as principal, PAL? Is that what it's supposed to be?
okay, there was just a misspelling on that particular one. But yes, you're correct.
Okay.
All right, so Ms. Harrison found the CARES Act. So I'm wondering if that is the same thing, because I know it's a part of ESSER.
Which page?
It's the PRC is 163.
It's a federal or
I'm thinking it's federal because it says ESSER F, what I read.
163? Okay. CARES Act, K-12 emergency relief,
I think that's it.
and your question being? Or was there a question? I mean, or you were just looking for it?
Yeah, I was looking for it up here, but my question is, are we gonna use all of that? Those dollars?
Well,
I mean, it's only like 1,000 or something left, so, but I wanna make sure
correct.
that we can spend it all on our students or whatever their needs are.
Well, that also will probably be something for Dr. Robinson to give you a little more information on.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Here are ESSER one, those funds have already been reverted, are sent back. They, ended in 2022. So if it's still sitting there, I don't know why it's still sitting there. We lost those funds, NCDPI sent us an allotment form, then sent us every time to do revisions. And those are one of the PRCs that were sent back because it was year or ESSER one. So 163, anything with 16, at 163, 167, all of those have been, if we didn't spend it all, they took them back and redistributed out to other school districts that need it. So one thing about, I will say that a lot of these things were happening when we were all transitioning into these positions. So if it didn't get spent under previous leadership, under previous people that were in these positions, and when we got into those jobs, and it were already being reverted back at the same time. But I knew that because I've been looking at PRCs, and I know that year and ESSER ones are the ones that we've already should have expended by now.
So this isn't accurate.
Well,
I didn't know.
it's accurate, mainly because if the funds, as she mentioned, are frozen, that may be what the case is, because they've already been reverted.
So it's
So,
not
like-
frozen if we don't have it. It's just.
Well, I mean,
Right.
well, frozen meaning
They-
that, like I said, they're not available for us to use.
Mr. Edwards, that makes it very confusing for us.
I
We
understand.
think we have money and we don't. Maybe you need to highlight it in red if it is not, if it's going back and reverted back
Yes,
or been taken away from us, or we need to highlight it somehow so we'll know that it's
I
nothing
understand.
that's
that is
available.
very good.
Thank you.
Or can it just not be up there since we don't have money? I'm just asking.
Well, these documents are taken directly from DPI website, so if it's there, they don't give an explanation, like I said, I can research that.
So you're saying you don't update this,
No,
DPI
I do
update?
not update.
Okay. So why did DPI have us in the red? There are several lines that were in the red.
A lot of these are still due to funds being transferred around from Restart as well. And that's still something that we're working on, trying to get those funds allocated appropriately. Any additional?
Is there a motion to approve the amendments?
Make a motion to approve the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Jenkins and second by Ms. Hale to approve the amendment. In the discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. And let's do a roll call. Ms. Robinson, Ms. Barry Robinson,
Mhm, yeah.
Ms. Harrison,
Aye.
Ms. Hale. Ms. Jenkins,
I have one.
Reverend Sykes. Reverend Sykes.
Go ahead, Mr. Stevens. Nay.
Next.
I
Okay,
have-
the reason I did the roll call, cause only 2 people answered, so that's why went back and did the roll call. Okay, so the motion then would pass 6-1.
I have a question before Mr. Edwards takes his seat. I'm looking here, Mr. Edwards, and as I said, I see a lot of stuff in red.
Yes,
But what I'm looking at I'm on the first page, I'm on Fund 1.
Okay.
And here it says, I guess the first thing that caught my eye was the classroom teachers, we're $237,000 in the red.
yes.
And then it goes down to the disadvantaged funds and the teacher assistants. And then it goes to test result bonus. So I was under the impression that the bonuses that our teachers receive were funds that that DPI was giving us. Or we may have had to cut the check and then we were being reimbursed.
Right.
But this was they received those funds in 2022. So I'm trying to figure out why are we in the red so much for test result bonus on 2 different line items, 46 and 48, two different PRCs.
Well, we did get the funding for PRC 048. But we did not receive the funding for 046. And those were the 2 PRCs that the bonuses were paid out of.
So
And
why
that's
are they
why,
both in the red?
I'm sorry,
Why are they both in the red if we got funding for one of them?
because you can see the funding for the current balance funding for 048 is what it is, but we paid out more because we had additional teachers that received those bonuses when we gave those awards out, I believe.
But the funds came from DPI, so why do we pay out more than the state allotted her?
Because at the time, when these funds were allocated, we had already paid the bonuses and we were waiting for that allocation from DPI.
So that still doesn't explain why it's in the red, because if we paid it up front and then we're waiting for the monies to come back from DPI, it should be black.
We never got those monies. Those monies were never sent to us. So therefore, they cannot be something that we're expecting to receive. To my understanding from DPI.
So somebody miscalculated.
No, there was no miscalculation. The funds were to be distributed for the bonuses versus with those particular PRCs. And DPI was to fund those PRCs, but we did not get funding for one of those particular PRCs at all.
Why not?
DPI did not offer those funds available. They did not allocate them.
Well, DPI sent out an instrument to follow. So that you will not fall, the teachers would fall into certain categories. And there was an amount that went with each category.
Correct.
So evidently something was miscalculated, because I don't understand why you would pay out more than DPI was giving us. And where's this money supposed to come from now? $15,068.
Well, the calculation was based on the information that I was given from the HR director.
Okay, thank you.
So it sounds like some bonuses were paid out that weren't supposed to be.
That may be a possibility.
Ms. Williams. Riverside.
This question is for Dr. Lee. This particular test result bonus, and I don't see Dr. Carpenter here tonight. Is this in collaboration with that EBOS data that was presented December, January, when we were, celebrating the growth?
I would say yes, sir.
Okay,
And on behalf of the HR department, being familiar with HR myself, HR receives in a secure shell names of individuals who are to receive any kind of bonus for testing or EBOS. That's all we can go by, what they send us. And I would submit to you if there is an error, the error wasn't on our sharing with finance department what to pay. Is an error that came to us because we received directly names of persons, how much the bonuses should be, and it goes from there.
One follow-up. So you're telling me, or you're telling us, not me, I've just asked the question, you're telling us that what was sent to the HR department in this secure shell, which would tell you whether a person was eligible for the bonus or not. DPI sent it, and they said to give all of these teachers bonuses, and now we're in the hole. And I only say that because DPI gives the EBOS data, correct? But they also have an index that indicates whether the person met that cap, which made them eligible to receive a bonus. And you can meet growth and exceed growth, but there's still a minimal cap that you must hit to get that state bonus. And I know we met growth because we celebrated meeting growth. I know we exceeded growth in some areas, even though the scores were less than the previous year. But I know that there's a cap, and you can't get bonuses unless you hit that cap, that set index that the state gives. And I don't think that happened. I'm hearing you say that, but I don't think that happened.
All I can tell you is the state sends to human resources in a secure shell, meaning it is so secure that finance doesn't get it. It goes directly to HR, and they have to go through all the security to get the detailed information, and it just tells you.
It says yes or it says no, I think,
It will
from what I'm
say
told.
with the name, and it'll say how much a person should receive, yes or no.
Right. And you sure wasn't any lack of reading. And everybody was given, because as you just clearly stated, it will say from DPI, yes or no. And you sure all of those, well, I'm not saying, I shouldn't say you, because you said it came to HR, but I'm just asking you as a follow-up. Are you sure that HR read it? Because reading is fundamental. And I don't think I haven't seen it, but I don't think I leave it that if can that information, since it comes to the HR department, can the board members, and since we're talking about money and finance, not necessarily have a copy, but can the board members see that to substantiate? Because what I'm looking at, if DPI didn't send it, then evidently DPI, there's something, some miscommunication or something, because if DPI didn't send it, if this PRC is still in the red, these PRC is still in the red, it looks to me like DPI is not gonna send it. That's just something that we have to eat locally, from all indication from what is being presented tonight.
And I can't respond to whether they'll send or not send. The school year is not ended, so they have to June 30th to clear up any. It's like we have to June 30th to clear up any of our indebtedness and so forth. So that is something that I will ask Ms. Privet to check into. And I can update you all. But I do know it comes in a secure shell, and individuals' names and the amounts, if they met growth, if their names were on the list, because not everybody's name is on the list. If a name is on the list, that means that person receives some form of bonus in some magnitude. And you just read the list to see how much they are to receive. But I will follow with Ms. Bridget and we will update you.
And I'll say this. I get that. And I didn't see it. I'm just talking about from what I told, because all of us know people at DPI and all across the state. Reading and math from my internalization of what I've been told, that those tested areas for the said grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all the teachers' names are there, and whether they met growth, exceeded growth, didn't meet growth, all of that's there. But you have to follow the metrics or whatever it is that they see and how they send all the information all the way across. And I think there's an index or cap or however they do it to say that the index that the state said has to be met for you to get the bonus. And the state tells you whether, yes, they get a bonus, no, they don't get a bonus, even if they meet or exceed growth. That's what I'm trying to gather. That's what I'm saying. If we could see that.
So Dr. Williams, if you'll check on that and then let us know.
I have one follow-up question, Dr. Williams. So those bonuses have already been paid, correct? To those teachers?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should wait like we did today and make the motion that pending funding for the assistant principal, well, pending DPI paying us for those bonuses, maybe we should wait to the end of the year and award those bonuses when we should have that money from DPI. That way we won't be going in the hole at all.
You mean for future
For
purposes?
people, for the future, yes, sir. Most definitely. That's just a recommendation.
And based on that as well, and I know that we have done away with our committees, but this is one of the reasons why I have continued to say that the finance committee is needed. Because more than 2 or 4 sets of eyes can put their eyes on things like this, and maybe we won't have so many mishaps with money, because ever since then, we have been having some money issues. So I think we really need to look at bringing our finance committee back.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's go to section 2. Item Roman 2. That was WCS auditors past, present, and future. Was that you, Ms. Robinson?
Oh, you mean, yes.
He has it under financial statement, but he has that auditors past, present, and future. Were you
Yes,
gonna speak that, Ms. Evans, or just from the skin? That was she requested to be on the agenda?
I did.
Yes, ma'am.
I do. I just wanted to reiterate that the finance committee back in the fall request that a RFP, or RFQ, whatever it is, to be requested. When we started having problems with the auditors furthermore, we requested that, and with Ms. Nan Wall, we were told when she came back in January that the audit would be complete before she left. She's long gone, 3 months gone, and we know that the issue we have. So I just want to ask why what we requested as the finance committee and this board was not followed.
If we have had an RFP, however, the issue we have with this audit has nothing to do with the RFP, because the RFP now would be for the year 22-23. The issue is 21-22. And the board approved for this RH group to do the auditing. That has nothing to do with the RFP that we now are presenting to you all tonight.
Not talking about that one. It's not the one we requested last year when you told us we were having problems
Right.
with the auditing company. Then, that's when we requested it, and we were told that in January, at our January meeting, that Ms. Nan Wall would be here to the end of January and the audit would be completed in the end of January. And that didn't happen.
Well, I don't work for the auditing company, Ms. Kay Robinson, and I
I'm
can't
quite aware of
control
that.
when they get done. We all know we're having issues with this RH company that was approved by the board. Therefore, that's the issue. The RFP is currently on the table for tonight for the board to approve for 22-23. You cannot go back and take one company suspend another company without it going through some legalities. And I've been talking and working with board attorney in reference to what to do with that. We've submitted paperwork and letters and so forth. Their failure to not provide what the board approved for them to do has nothing to do with the RFP for now.
I understand that.
I just want to be clear on that.
I'm clear.
So we do have an RFP, a request for the board to approve tonight, but it's for 22-23, not 21-22.
Quite a while.
Mr. Williams, I have a question for Attorney Weber. So listening to what Dr. Williams just said about, we knew we had issues early on. In this process. At that point, I know it's some legal stuff, we're bound by, I guess, our legal team and, yeah. So was it possible, or what could we have done early? Because the request was made earlier, when we noticed that we first started having issues.
Yeah, happy to answer that. The contracts for the auditors, they're on standard forms that are developed by the local government commission. Those forms do contain termination provisions, including termination for breach. And I believe, without having it in front of me, a 30-day termination for convenience. So there is that option. There are always considerations, whether there's adequate cause and support to claim that there's a breach, and even for convenience, whether going out for an RFP, would save time and money versus leaning on and pushing your current contractor to do what they were contracted to do. That's always a fact specific, case by case analysis. But the standard forms do allow for termination at some point. It's just a question of when and whether to exercise that.
And can you also speak to Attorney Weber that we had the conversation about that very thing? And we submitted and provided letters to RH that was approved. That it was unsatisfactory after the 9-month period, which ended March 31. That was the conclusion that they should have completed their work. March 31.
We've been in touch with their lead auditor in terms of the delay and pushing them to complete it. I believe the last date we gave them was the end of April.
But that was after we got this information about being in jeopardy. This wasn't last year when we started this conversation, like 22, not last school year, but 22.
That's right. I've
Right.
been involved in conversations since earlier in March.
Right, yeah.
If I may, we can't go back and change the position we in. But I kind of be remiss if I did say, when this came up by changing the auditor and selecting this company, it was said that this company was having problems from the beginning. That the only thing they did was change their name, and the people remained the same. They was having problems then. But as a board, with the selection that we made, which was February 1st, 2022, they were voted in as the company that we wanted to work with, even though it was an additional cost. So they followed suit. Their stripes and spots didn't change because they changed the name. Their actions were the same. That's why we're in the situation that we're in now. So the only thing we can do is try to move forward and correct the situation as bad as it is. And the situation they put us in, RH put us in terms of being in jeopardy or receiving our funds from the state and federal. We just had to eat it. We made, as a board, we voted, we made a mistake. Majority rule, we just made a mistake. It didn't pan out the way we thought it was. So the only thing we can do is move forward with it now. No need to talk about last year, year before, 6 months ago. That won't do us a bit of good with where we are with the state now. We got to come up with a solution to try to remedy the situation. Because what RH talk about from May to completing the form June the 30th, it just won't work. It just will not work. So we got to look forward to going forward. That's all.
I have one other thing. In order to put our finance committee back in place, what do we need to do? Do we need to,
I'll make that suggestion.
okay,
to
because
Those committee members,
we really
yes.
need to look at that,
and
some oversight.
I'll make that suggestion. It wasn't oversight, it was done intentionally. It wasn't oversight on my part.
No, I wasn't saying to you, I'm saying the oversight, we need some oversight on the budget stuff. I'm not saying on you.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I'm not saying you, I'm saying on the budget because we need some more eyes on it. It's very obvious.
And Ms. Williams, I agree with everything that you just said. Majority did win it at that respect of what you just said, and I'm not gonna rehash it, and we did it. And I just want us to remember, not only that, but the reason why we did a change. We had the same auditor in place for over 10 years, and all of us learned in School Board 101 that it is good practice to change up auditors after a period of time like that, because you become so familiar. And I know, and all of us know, that the auditors came in, change this, change this, change this, change this, change this, and then we're gonna come back. And we as a board said, we didn't want that happen. If our finance committee, not finance committee, but if the finance department of our school district is what it is, it's going to be able to sustain scrutiny regardless of who the auditor is. But I agree with you, this auditor did not hold up their end of the bargain, and we agreed. And we just have to make sure that we never use them again if it is the pleasure of the board to not do so. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, thank you. Okay, next item for action.
All right. Next item is an action item on the RFP for the upcoming auditor. We received a proposal after we put out the request. And the proposal is in front of you from Anderson, Smith, and White. They were the only one to respond to our proposal that we put on our website and internet. That's our action item for currently.
Okay, so can I have a motion for the RFP for auditors, which is Anderson, Smith, and White, Wake.
Before we go into that, I have a question.
Okay, well, can I get the motion, then, a question asked?
I move that we accept the request, from Anderson, Smith and White PLLC, certified public accountants.
Right.
Is that a second? Hale? There's been a motion by Ms. Robinson and second by Ms. Hale that we employ Anderson, Smith and White. I get it right. Are there any questions? Ms. Barry Robinson?
Did we reach out to any other auditors? I know we said this is we only received the one, but did we reach out into any other like school districts to see who they're using?
I might answer that. I did reach out to Bertie County, as well as Northampton County, to see who they were using, and currently they are using the same company.
Oh, so you just did local.
Sorry,
You only reached out to 2 local ones.
correct.
I will say that, Ms. Barry Robinson, in their response, they showed who they did professional with, and
Yeah, I saw that.
they saw, we did a great thing with the student. Okay, any more discussion? Yeah, all those in favor of the motion, aye, all opposed. Motion passed.
And lastly, last action item, which can be an action item to reserve for next board meeting. But this is for your, look over, I guess for tonight. A new software package, called Link, for our finance department, our human resource department, as well as our child nutrition department, to use in conjunction. This particular software, package, if you've been reading, the information, is a Windows-based software. It's used in approximately 80+ school districts throughout North Carolina currently. It's a cloud-based system as well, allows us to use the time that we have more efficiently, and take care of a lot of the things that possible circumstances that we may have with auditors as well as other entities when they have to do business with us. As I stated before, it could be an action item tonight, but it can be tabled until the next board meeting if you want to look into it a little more.
Board members, if you do choose to approve this tonight, we've negotiated a number of contracts with Link for other districts. I'm in the process of making changes to their master service terms now. Those wouldn't change the dollar amounts or the scope of services. It would just change the boilerplate. So if you do choose to approve it tonight, I would recommend approving it subject to further attorney review. And that way I can continue that process.
I have a question, Mr. Williams.
That's fine.
Where do we plan to take this $107,780 from?
Well, currently, the county provides through our capital outlay approximately $35,000 per year to take care of the AS400 Serenic software that we're currently using. And from my understanding, Link's program is initially starts out around 50 to get everything implemented. But then each successive year, it drops down to between 20 and 25,000 for their services. So it is already appropriated through the county, through the capital outlay program that they provide to us.
You said it was 35,000 from the county, right?
Correct.
That's a lot less than 100,000.
No, that's 100,000 for that 3-year period.
Okay.
It's broken up into annual payments.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mr.
Mr.
Williams.
Williams.
I'm just going to. And this is not, you have nothing to do with this, Mr. Edwards. This was prior to, but a couple of years ago, when this was fresh out for Weldon to be a trial run, so everybody could get acclimated, when it would not have cost what was in place at that time. The finance department didn't want to do this and knew that the program that we have now was going to be phased out. And now we're going to have to incur a dollar amount, and we didn't have to incur anything much at all. And now we don't have any other choice. And, we're going to basically go to this because the program that you're talking about currently is being phased out. And we were well aware of this over 2 years ago. And if this had already been in place, it would have been so much easier when you came in, to become acclimated with this. But now you have to go through the trial and the error because of what you were doing and what we're going to have to change to. And this is from the state. I mean, we don't really have a choice with that.
I understand.
So.
Well, the only thing I can say, if I may, majority of systems in today's society are Windows-based. And that's from your phone,
Right.
so forth, and that's what as a society we are becoming acclimated to. So if we're still going to be using a system that is going to be phased out eventually through the state modernization program, using something that everyone typically is familiar with already is going to be the direction I believe that everyone is going to be headed down in the future. I also want to say this last thing, that in the future, if personnel would be changed with a program like this, you'll probably be looking at a lot of shorter time frame for them to learn this concept, as a whole. And because, like I said, we are already, used to these types of, programs.
And Bruce, I have one final question as far as this is concerned, I think, with our attorney. Since you are negotiating this, do you think that you all would come up to some common consensus between now and the next board meeting?
Yes, yeah, we've negotiated a number of contracts with Link. Their service terms have been updated since the last time, but are still have some of the same concepts. I can't imagine it would be too long of a negotiation.
So if we did table this until next month, you feel comfortable that everything should be straight, ready to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In addition to finance, is there someone else who use the AS400?
That use AS400, I am not aware, 'cause from my standpoint, AS400, is a very old system. I do know right now, speaking with Northampton County, they are currently on AS400, but they are moving towards, the Links program, I believe, coming, this summer. The only other thing I can, add to this is, the gentleman that I spoke with, he did put us on a time frame of September as to when they can get in and actually, put together a program, for us here in Weldon.
So that means that everybody, the whole department for finance will be moving to Links and not for AS400.
Right.
Okay,
As
so,
well as, like I said, HR has, ability to take advantage of it as well.
okay, what about, and I know there are federal dollars, what about programs, they use federal dollars such as, EC and foods, nutrition, does anybody else?
Nutrition already uses Links, for.
So they're already in Links?
Yes,
Okay,
What's the timeline they gave?
that they will be able to start, around September.
okay. So what about, you didn't say anything about, our EC department?
We didn't get, directly into the actual, intricacies of how the system, would work, but from what I was told and my understanding of the finance department, whether it be, EC finance, or what have you, it all incorporates, together.
And because we haven't had time to read over this, training is included.
Correct.
And what we really want is to share this with you all, and I know Mr. Edwards was kind enough to say if you consider approving it tonight, but we have time. So there's no urgency to get that done for your approval tonight. We wanted to put this before you, recognizing that September is a time frame that they will set us up and do the training. It is a heavy front loading of it. That's why the cost is about $50,000 initially. And then it drops down to 28,000 thereafter each year. But it's a lot of front loading to happen.
So I guess I do have one additional question. Ms. Fields, do you use AS400 net currently?
Yes,
Okay, so you would be going over the links as well?
yes.
So, the fellow board members, you want to just table this until next month?
Mhm.
Get a consensus?
So the attorney can get his
Right.
Right,
contracts.
Okay. So we'll just table this, Mr. Evans, to next board meeting.
Want a motion?
We need to do that with a motion.
Well, the board takes no action. then.
okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you.
Next, we have federal programs with Dr. Robinson.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay,
I just need clarification. For the previous action item that we had for the RFP. Did anyone vote no? Cause I thought I saw a hand raised.
Against White, I did.
Okay.
but you voted against,
Mhm.
uh,
So it's 6
yeah,
one.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
That's okay.
Good evening, everyone again. I'm not gonna belabor you, or so everyone knows who I am. I'm gonna, report on federal programs right now. I'm going to, first of all, I'm gonna ask you if any questions about the report that you have already received.
I have one question, Dr. Robinson. Okay, I saw that, if we haven't heard from the grant yet, right?
Haven't heard from the grant yet.
Okay, and that PRC 181 will be used if we, receive the grant, correct?
Then first, when we were starting the plan, we were gonna use 181, but looking down the road, I had a plan for, retention bonuses down the road, which is gonna eat about $1 million, about 181. So we having to rethink how we're gonna use, PRC 181 to sustain us for the next year, for 2023, 2024.
Okay.
So right now, this year, we've already used the $500,000 to pay, and we're gonna be using the $500,000 to pay retention bonuses to teachers. So we need a plan for, down the road to those same bonuses, at least into 2024, while we are working on additional grants to sustain that teacher bonus, status for our district.
Okay. Title I funds. I see we have money left in our Title I funds for each school.
So Title I, we need to have some buffer money to start the school year every year. So right now, you may see an amount, but as they're turning in their purchase orders, those amounts are constantly changing. I think I made a notation on it that, let me go to it, that say that this as of a certain date, but as they spend down those funds, it's gonna change, and it should be changing every month when you look at it.
Okay.
But we have to have a certain amount of percentage of Title I going into the new school year, because we have a school that's actually funding 2 teaching positions out of Title I.
Mhm.
And actually Title I funded for the middle school and high school, a couple of things that we're actually gonna use ESSER 2 to reimburse Title I, so they can have more money going into the next school year. Because we don't know how our allotments are gonna land, as far as teacher allotments.
Is that the 300,000, 5542 that you've already encumbered
For which one?
for, PRC 171? For ESSER 2,
Yes.
okay.
So we're going back to ESSER 2. So for ESSER 2, my goal and everyone's goal, we've been working on this, is to not turn any money back over to the state. So I did include a plan that we've been working on as a district to spend those funds. And that's the ESSER 2 plans and allotments for expenditure by September 2023. So I went back through it and re-allotted or issued monies to different departments to make sure that we're spending those funds according to the practices that are required of us.
So what's left in ESSER 2, 171?
Right now, ESSER 2 and 171. And your report right now, it should be under, it's 505.
Yeah, that's what we have left to spend between now and September, right?
Right.
So, ESSER 2 supports, 171 supports academic support as well.
Mhm.
Why can't we use some of that ESSER 2 money to support summer school?
But we do have a portion of it is going to summer school.
How much?
And so summer learning grant, we have 19,000 going into that, there's 176, and here's my plan. No, but it's in my plan.
Mhm. And I see you down for curriculum and instruction tonight too, and so maybe I can do or ask because we're talking about money. My concern is that, I just, noticed that we're not gonna have, got an email saying that we're gonna have to cut back on the activities, the summer learn, the activities in the afternoon. We live in Weldon, we live in Halifax County, Tier 1 county. Our students need somewhere to be safe for the summer. Our students come to school basically for fun, food. And if they learn something in between, we have it. But we need something to keep them here and enhance and entice them who come to summer school.
Right.
So they need some extracurricular activities in the afternoon. I don't know any parents that get off work at 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. We all, that our parents need that support as well. So that's why I'm searching these budgets to see why we can't do the bare minimum of extending some type of activity with people who are already here. Bare minimum, but extending them. So we can make sure our students are safe for the summer, they're fed during the summer, and they have fun and they're safe. So that's my concern. I think everyone around this table would have that same concern. Because we know we live where we live and where we are. We don't want our students to be in car accidents, biking accidents, or anything else negative to them. We want them to be safe, and that means that they have to be here with us. That's what we want them to do. To also increase, but we know summer school during the summer, they go back, they revert with their reading. So we need to have something to entice them to come. And they're not just gonna come just for retention and what we have planned so far. Not gonna work. We gotta find it somewhere. I don't know where it's hiding, but I do believe we can find it somewhere. We have to do something different.
And I'll also address that with Dr. Robertson. Recognizing that it is a very high chance that our federal funds will be frozen beginning in July. And what Dr. Robinson is saying is we're trying to hold on so we can at least pay salaries of individuals as we begin, because many of our staff are paid through federal funds. And so we have to have some funds available in the event, and it is highly likely that our funds will be frozen. Should it happen, we want to be able to pay our staff, and that's our fiduciary obligation to pay our staff. That's why she's saying what she's saying, of not expending everything just now, because we don't know what it's gonna look like after July.
So in my thought process has been how we can sustain salaries outside of if we do not have federal funding, because we are a Title I district, so that means that most of our funding come through the federal government. So it's so important that we make sure that we can keep the people that we have here already and also provide quality instruction to the students with quality teachers. So that's retention bonus, the hiring, the hiring bonuses, things of that nature that we've been thinking about as far as getting teachers to stay.
But with ESSER two, then we have to spend it by September anyway.
Yeah.
It wouldn't go forward with paying salaries, because you're not gonna pay them for 1 month and then
Yeah.
not pay them anymore.
Yeah, so with ESSER two, yeah, you're absolutely right with that. I was thinking about ESSER three, that part of it, trying to keep those, those monies in place.
So with that being said, you said that we have 500 and something.
Before we plan to spend, I already planned out how we're gonna spend that 500 until before we realize that we're gonna have to hold on to some monies, but we can't hold on to this money anyway, because we got this by September 2023.
So what you're talking about, the plan you have come up with, there is no leeway for summer support for our students, because and I'm just thinking about if we have our students that come and they do academics all school year, they're doing academics during the summer. Do we need it? Yes, we do. However, summer, you think about something that's fun. And in addition to sitting in class, getting the academic piece, we need something else that's gonna draw our students.
So part of that, I did allot 42,000 for summer learning, which is some additional funds aside from the monies that we already have allotted for 181 for summer learning. So there's 42,000, and in another, I think it's PRC 178, there's another piece of summer money that we can use also to support some summer learning activities as well.
And that has nothing to do with the morning piece. Or no? Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna pay some salaries out of that, we can. Because right now, when they were working on the budget, it was running over what we had already allotted.
Mhm.
So it was over 200,000. And so I pulled 42,000 for summer learning from, PRC 171. And, it's PRC, it is 176. That I was gonna put some, that is for slated for summer learning.
But this is.
One of the other things that can happen for the summer, as we all know, there is summer camps for band. I mean, that's already slated and we have band camp, that's extra curricular for students. We have cheer camp, we have other athletic camps. Those are other things that we do anyway. And those can be kind of merged into the summer learning, if you will, because you do it anyway. There is funding for that anyway.
So I'm confused now, Dr. Williams, because reading that, and that's what you're saying is exactly what I thought when I left here last board meeting. However, what I've been seeing the last day or so, and what I'm hearing here now is like after 2 o'clock, our kids are done. They're on the bus and they're going home.
Well, from the summer. Last year we had, and as I indicated in my report, we had over $1 million to spend
Right.
because the monies were not spent correctly or adequately throughout the year. So at the end of the year, you had a big hunk of money you had to spend or lose.
Right.
And so they spent it and did a lot of creative things, which includes extracurricular activities like cheer coach or a cheer camp or a basketball camp and all that. This year, we don't have those kinds of dollars because we used funds throughout the year the way it should have been used. So at this time of the year, what you do have is your regular summer programs such as band camp. You have that anyway. Your cheer camps, you have those anyway. Your basketball camps, you do that anyway.
So my question remains,
Mhm.
we were told last time that it was gonna be on a different scale. We know that we weren't gonna have the karate and we weren't gonna have the dance and all of that. But then reading and listening, it sounds like, and maybe it was just me, that we weren't having anything after 2 o'clock.
And that is true, but Ms. Robinson, can you speak? to-
Actually, when we talked about it and we had to do the cutting, we're for the elementary is the only one that's under a tight restriction, and we're trying to figure out how we're gonna make it happen for them. But for the high school and for the middle school, they're not so constrained, so we're trying to build in activities for them within that day. Because see, there's credit recovery, which they can do anytime. The middle schools, they have like a flexibility in their schedule. So with the coordinators, we're gonna try to figure out how we can get some extra activities in during the day. The only one that's really constrained is the elementary school because the Read to Achieve, I have to do 72 hours of Read to Achieve hours. So we have to get very creative with Read to Achieve. And what I'm trying to do with that is try to figure out maybe some problem-based learning or some outdoor learning for them so that I can figure out how to make that a learning experience that I can count towards instructional hours for them so that they can have some activities during the day too. But with the site coordinators, and we're gonna meet on Monday, they're gonna try to figure out how they can do the high school and the middle school and do some activities in the day and use some of the funds that she allocated for us to do that. We just didn't have, once I started to do the employee hours for after school, it raised maybe like $150,000 just to make it effective for that time. So that's when we decided that we would try to do it a different way.
So when you say during the day,
Right.
are you talking about during that time frame? What was it, like 8 to 2 or something?
The 8 to 7:30 to 2:15 at the end of it.
So during the academic day.
Right, because like, for instance, the high school is not restricted, their credit recovery. So what they're working is, I think it's web-based anyway, and then they'll get maybe help from the instructor that's there. The middle school, the same thing, like, so I can actually, in the day, like, for instance, if we say that the middle school would go there 3 days, and then 2 days would be some type of activity out, then we can do that, and she's allocated funds for that. The only thing that I'm having trouble that we have to be very creative with is the elementary school, because I have to actually turn that into some type of, to satisfy the state with the retreat to achieve 72 hours. And then we're only going till July 6th. So that kind of constrains that,
Does that include like the letters and all that stuff?
Right, the like, which, yeah, because with the Read to Achieve, they give me a guideline on those 72 hours and what I can use those 72 hours for. So even with the schedule, I had to map out everything, taking out recess, taking out lunch, taking out breakfast, and then I have to make 72 hours. So with the time frame that we have, until July 6th, I'm up to 77, so I have to actually go in to think about how I can maybe for instance, if we take them to the zoo and how I can figure out how to word that so that they can do that, or take them to the museum. But I have to be very creative with Read to Achieve laws for elementary, but we plan for the middle and we plan for the high school to do other things like the college trips and things, but just doing that 8 o'clock to 2:15 hours.
Question, Ms. Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
The Delta Reads program that comes into weather, can you count those hours?
Maybe, if we could,
So if you need more hours this summer, you need to let us know. And
okay.
we will come in full force this summer to help you make those 70 hours if possible.
So we can move the 72 hours, it just, we have enough time in it for it, it just doesn't give us enough time for anything else,
Oh,
unless I get creative with it.
okay,
Or,
For the elementary only though.
okay, okay.
or the day be extended, then that would give you the time that you.
Yeah,
need.
if
I mean, that's just a question.
when I leave at 2:15, I've met everything that I need
Okay.
at 2:15. But if I extend the day, that's just extra.
Right, I'm just saying like, and I know, again, we can't do what we did last year. But I'm saying if the day was extended, like we had last,
Mhm.
then that would give you. So based on what you're saying now, it sounds like they'll have the hours that they need. However, there's no time for extra.
Right.
Okay,
Scenario. If we get the CCLC grant, how will that open up?
So we get the CCLC grant, we could probably talking to Dr. Dr. Carpenter and Ms. Robinson to see if we can plan some extra activities for the students. Once we get that, we can make a plan based on that.
Have you called the grants manager over at the CCLC?
They contacted me and told me that it will be May. And so I think the drawback to that is we are one of those schools that get out in May.
Right.
And so one of the few schools get out in May and the other schools get out in June. So I think that's why the previous person in this position had to turn so much money back over because we got the money so late.
Yeah.
But I'm already planning that if we're gonna get it this late, then we can move, once we get that money in place, we can move with those plans. I was gonna address that later.
Okay.
We can move with those plans to do some things after that time, but we can't make a plan for money we don't have.
Right, I agree.
So
Okay.
hopefully they in the decision stages now, and they contacted me and said it's gonna be May. I'm like, oh my God, wow. That's when we get out, our kids need to be moving.
Right.
So hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Any additional questions for federal program? I do want to address, however, the grants. I did formulate a creative grant committee from every school, from every area, Vega, middle school and high school. I have members from every school on a grant writing team. I think I was writing them alone and solo and not getting anybody's feedback, trying to get them done, but I think that this is gonna work because everyone has a different perspective, and I have a couple of teachers that are grant writers. So we have hidden talents in this district, we find all the time. So we came across an additional grant. I think you might not have it in your report because we just came across it. It's from Burroughs Well.
Okay.
So it's a STEM grant for Burroughs Well. Awesome. So you're gonna actually, I'm saying that's for me, actually write 4 grants. But the first one we're gonna start with and finish is the Burroughs Welcome Grant, which is gonna help us also. You might not have that, and if you want a copy of it, I can give it to you later. Which is gonna also help with any kind of STEM activities that we can do in the summer. I don't remember the exact amount. It's not a rolling grant. The other grants that we are working on, They're rolling grants, but the girls' welcome grant is due on June 9th, so we gotta get on that really quickly. So the group is meeting on Tuesday. So they take time out at the end of the day to meet with me. They're excited about being a part of it. It's like the first. But still, we got a committee writing, a group that's writing grants, so. I'm gonna soon hand it off and let somebody else head it up and I facilitate once we get it off the ground.
I think that request came from the finance committee when we were meeting. Thank you.
You will. And I think that's, other things, I think that's it. Yeah, everyone knows where ESER 2 ends, we know where ESER 3 ends, and the background on Title. Any additional questions for federal program? I am now going to do my best to represent, Dr. Carpenter, even though I'm a curriculum person too, but I'm gonna do my best to, represent Dr. Carpenter with the help of, this. I told her if I look back, because they've been working really hard on some things. The curriculum team. So going to the summer learning plan. And we just finished talking about this, it's gonna run, the remediation period is gonna run from May 30th to June 8th, Monday through Thursday from 7:45 a.m. to 12:15 a.m. During that time, that's remediation for retesting for the EOGs and EOCs. After that part, on June the 12th, they're going to the academic learning piece to close academic gaps. And that runs from June the 12th to July 6th, from Monday to Thursday, from 7:30 until 2. And that's all schools. On June 19th, which is Juneteenth, there's no camp, and July 4th, there's no camp. And the extended learning, after that point would be June 12th to July 6th, again, Monday through Thursday, and that's gonna be from 2:15 to 5:30. If funded, if funded. Okay, going over, any questions about summer learning? Going to testing and accountability. Walden High School did have 3 students that were scheduled to make up the ACT test, and they completed that on April the 18th. Benchmarks will be held next week from April the 24th to April the 28th. And in the year for WEGA Elementary, for Walden Elementary School, WEGA will run from April 24th through May 12th. Any questions about the testing dates? Going into curriculum and instruction. We will have a district-wide boot camp for EOC and EOG prep. We'll run from May 1st to May 12th for 2 full weeks. And individuals in remediation will be happening during the course of the school day, within the school day schedule. So that's from May the 1st to May 12th. Any questions about the district-wide boot camp? As we continue to strive for 55, we had NCDPI sent down two CNA consultants for the middle school and elementary school. And they were sent down on February 28th, February 29th. We went through the schools and assessed what was happening and provided data to the principals and feedback to the principals on April 3rd and April 4th. And that feedback will be used to look at some things that we need, some strategies and things that we need to do to increase the learning and to close academic learning gaps in each school. And tomorrow we will have a district-wide college and career fair here at Walden High School from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. And all schools are invited to come.
Do you know how that will be set up or how it works?
I'm gonna call it Miss Robinson, she actually worked on this with career fair.
Tomorrow we'll have a career fair here. We have about 40 different career and college representatives coming. We decided to have the elementary, they're gonna come over tomorrow from, give me one moment, because I don't have any glasses, so I can't see a thing. From 9 to 10 tomorrow, the elementary would come over and they would tour all of the vendors, and then from 10:15 to 11:15, the middle would come over, and then from 11:30 to 1, it would be RVEC and Weldon STEM High School. But I can give you, I have a copy of the schedule, the rotation schedule, if you want to see the vendors and who will be coming up and how it will work tomorrow, if we want a copy.
Is that Capro coming? Is it Capro? The
Cap-
college, area colleges, when they go around and visit?
They will go
It's
around to
Capro.
we're gonna set, as soon, tomorrow morning, we're gonna come in here about 6 and set up tables here in the hallways, so that they will go, we have like a schedule for them, but I'll give you a copy of it so you can see how it.
Any additional questions for curriculum instruction? Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, now we have Mr. Futrell, who support service and operation.
Board Chair Williams, Board Member Superintendent. Ms. Fields and I bring you updates regarding pre-K and exceptional children, provide you information and answer any questions. So for preschool updates, pre-K, pre-registration allowed parents to use our online link that was created and posted to our website to pre-register. As you know, preschool registration was held on April 4th at Weldon Elementary Global Academy. However, you know that's been ongoing and continuous. Thus far, well, on April 4th, 9 families registered during our registration launch day. And because it's been ongoing and continuous as of today, we have 17 families who have registered for pre-K. A preschool screening is being organized for May 24th, which you know is required. And then our pre-K students also are taking a field trip on actually tomorrow, Friday, April 21st, to Sylvan Heights Bird Sanctuary in Scotland. So those are a few of our updates from pre-K. Any questions you have specific to pre-K?
Yes, my questions are for Ms. Fields. Ms. Fields, you said, Mr. Futrell said that we had 9, we currently have 17. Out of all of those, how many are complete?
We still are working on the application, pulling in, health assessments. All of the paperwork that go with it, and they have not been submitted to Smart Start yet.
So we don't
we're
have.
Still pulling those applications.
So right now, we don't have any, basically, that are complete.
I believe we have 4 that are absolutely complete, but I'm holding them until we get a few more to take them to Smart Start.
Are you ready for EC questions now, or you just wanna,
That was just pre-K.
okay, I didn't know if she wanted to wait or not.
Just want to provide you all an update on Special Olympics. There's been ongoing planning for the May 4th Special Olympics at Northampton County High School, who is hosting it this year. We have a total of 8 athletes that will be participating from elementary, middle, and high school. Shirts have been provided by the North Carolina Special Olympics for our students to wear, to show their school spirit. And also want to just publicly acknowledge and give a special thanks to our very own Dr. Isaac Miller III. As you recall, we provided some physicals thanks to your coordination liaison and Ms. Bird Robinson for our student athletes.
It was Mr. Lynch.
And Mr. Lynch, for our student athletes this summer. And so we found that as a valuable resource because our students for Special Olympics also needed physicals in order to participate in Special Olympics. And so he, along with his family, have helped us and support us to help get those physicals done for our Special Olympic athletes as well. So this will be a featured event on our district website. And so it really has been a lot of hands-on planning and coordination from internal and external stakeholders to make this happen. Any questions about Special Olympics specifically?
You said it's going to be held at Northampton County.
Northampton County High School.
Oh, the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, have a few updates regarding occupational course of study in our EC department. As of April 19th, our OCS students have completed 16 to 20 hours of community-based work at Food Line. I think back in January, and I brought it to you all to let you know the efforts that have been put in place to ensure that our students were getting work-based hours as part of the occupational course study program, but also in terms of life preparation. You know, there have previously been a lot of changes and adjustments made to that during COVID, which brought into hours and them meeting the hours. However, that's now back in play, and we've gotten our students connected to getting some service learning hours in. Also on April 4th, the EC department toured the Work Source East facility in Goldsboro, North Carolina. That's part of like our community-based rehab, vocational rehab. This facility offers vocational learning to individuals with disabilities. We also had 5 parents to attend, and as a result, we also have 2 prospective students preparing for enrollment at that training facility next year. So plans are already being made to help ensure that those students have a post-secondary plan, which is very plan. We talk about exceptional children having that post-secondary plan, but specifically having to make sure that they are a work-based continuum in place to ensure that they are skilled and have the skills necessary to be employed. Also, one of our former graduates from Wheeling City School attended with his parent and toured the facility and will also enroll in the fall as well. We have a graduate from the class of 2022, which we could have a release because talked about it a little bit, but he attended the Work Source East and graduated in March, and he's earned a certification in environmental services through this collaboration, this partnership. The life skills class here at the high schools included in 2 field trips with sustainable ag class. So it's kind of like a partnership with Green Technical Education. First trip was a visit to the Center for Energy, where they learned how important solar energy is and will become in the future. The second trip was actually a visit to Halifax County Agriculture Building, and Halifax County 4-H, where students participated in 3 sessions of beekeeping 101 at the high school prior to the field trip. You know, that's a whole industry in itself, beekeeping. So that was a great thank you to our CT to partner with EC to ensure that our students can be included on those types of experiences. We have candidates for graduation within our EC. We have 1 self-contained certificate student, 2 OCS graduates, and 3 future ready candidates for graduation. One of our 3 future ready, this is a really big deal. So I probably should say a little more excited, but one of our 3 future ready students was nominated for the Matthew C. Grazzetti Award. That's a really big accomplishment for our students, you know, that's awarded to students across the state. And it's a scholarship opportunity that Exceptional Children's Assistance Centers offered, and it's proud achievements for students. And it's a $1,500 scholarship and to be used for any post-high school learning experiences and or training. So once that student has had an opportunity to be recognized before his peers, we certainly love to bring them to this board for that type of recognition in May. That's all with the OCS area in EC. I think I'll just also add that as we have continued to develop our Charger Academy, we recognize that there will be the need to also make sure we provide services for our EC students identified as EC, first here. We want to make sure we therefore work with Mrs. Hawkins, who's one of our newest staff members to EC. And she will now be providing, she's now providing support at the Charger Academy for students when, if they identify EC, to provide support for them, but also to the middle school, which we have talked about extensively, where there's need, additional support, and work with, administrators across, with the high school and middle school to make this happen. And so far that is working. Also, our PRC 29 behavior specialist program, Mr. Carey has currently now 11 students on his caseload as of today. That's been growing as we've gotten him, maybe 2 months ago, I think. So he's now, we have an identified caseload of 11 students who are receiving support through that program. And of course, to work with students, you also don't have to be identified in the Exceptional Children Program to receive services through PRC 29. So even as teachers, counselors, administrators recognize the behavioral challenges that students may need additional support in, they can be referred to him to also provide assistance. And that's a little bit about that. Any other specific questions for the EC?
How many students, EC students are in the Charger Academy?
We currently have some minimal number in our we have students there, we have 2 students there, sir. While maintaining some confidentiality.
Okay. I didn't ask you for names.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted a number, but I thought we started out with 2.
They were not identical.
Okay. Okay. So what days does Ms. Hawkins go to the middle school? What days does she come to the high school?
Her schedule is from 8 to 10:30 at the high school.
Every day.
Yes, Monday through Friday. And then when she leaves the high school, she goes up to the middle school.
Stays until 3?
Yes.
And based on the 2.5 hours that you said she's giving at the Charger Academy, are we in compliance with the IEP goals for the students?
Yes.
So I know that she was hired for OCS is what we were originally told. And since then, it's been shared that she's not, but we hired that, we had the position because we wanted someone to work with our OCS students out in the community and things like that. So what are we doing now for those students?
So those senior students, they are still, they're at the high school. Erin Taylor is the EC teacher. Ms. Banks is the one that actually works with them.
So we don't have a certified teacher. And that's nothing against Ms. Banks, because she's one.
Right, Ms. Taylor is the licensed ECT over OC. Ms. Banks is her keyword.
So is Ms. Taylor ICR or is she OCS?
She also covers research.
So how is she doing both?
Her caseload is, all of her resource kids are not in one classroom, they're spread out over the.
Understood. When I say
The
both,
OCS children are in the classroom, at the times with Ms. Banks.
Questions?
Mr. Side, wrong side.
Ms. Fields, I heard you say that the Georgia Academy started, or am I hearing you say that the Georgia Academy starts at 8 because Ms. Hawkins is here from 8 until 10:30?
Well, actually, Charter Academy starts at 9, but she reports to the high school at 8.
Okay, so she's here for an hour and a half, as far as the Georgia Academy is concerned. I thought when we started the Georgia Academy, Dr. Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was going to start a little later time, so it wouldn't interact with the children that are coming, correct? Okay, so she's here an hour and a half being with Georgia Academy.
That's right.
Okay,
So what is she doing from 8 to 9?
Board
She's
members, I
in
would
our
encourage you,
office
if you have general questions about coverage, this would be the appropriate place to do that. If you have questions about specific employees and their schedule and their background, then I would encourage you to
Close.
ask those.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, sure.
I think, what I did hear lift up is that, yeah, we still need, we love for additional EC staff to apply and come to Weldon City Schools, because we have vacancies. And in order to meet the most need, we gotta fill those vacancies. I mean, that's what we need. Just an update.
I have some other questions another question that is not specific to any employee. So Attorney Weber, please let me know if I can't ask this in open. But my question is about, because I know that we do consult with students who live in our district and they're with Halifax Academy or any kind of academy. Or private schools, I guess I should say. Where are we with that? Because I know that we have to, there's some money that's attached to it. Right,
It's the IGA and CA.
Right, proportionate share.
right. So, I mean, where are we with fulfilling those needs?
Well, that's part of the grant. I mean, the grant opens up in May, so that component would be fulfilled, but we need the actual students at the academy.
I'm not asking about specific students, I'm asking about the support that we are giving. Because we all know that at a private school, you don't have to have. But my question is, how are we providing that support and how are we holding their meetings?
Oh, I'm holding me.
Has that happened?
Yeah.
How often?
I think I've had about 4 this year.
And so you said we have 4.
I've had about 4 meetings. We don't have those students. They enter the program and then they have students that move as well.
Right, today, how many do we have?
Right, too.
Do you know roughly how much money we've had to pay them this year? What about what PRC it comes out of? Because I didn't see anything that was specific to.
Proportionate share.
I think it's come out of several, I know like with one of them who's receiving a related service, for English speech, is coming out of your, what's your big state? 060, I don't have that specific right here in front of me, but there are several different places where the related services with different ones may come out of, as it relates to, because you can see how it's coded when it's on that chart of accounts, what goes to the private school.
Okay. I'll look at that. I will.
We can definitely bring that more information to you on that. Just don't have that.
I'm thinking about exit, like when we exit students. How are we keeping up with, and I'm thinking about things because it is, of course, about retest time. Like their modifications and all of that, how are we updating that? And does our teachers have, of course, I know they have access to ECAS. But do they have access to make the changes for modifications and to make sure that's updated and they're exited for the year?
Why would a student be exited? You talking about exited out of the program?
You don't exit students? I don't know that.
It's rare, but that would basically be, a team decision.
Of course, it's always a decision.
Decent service. Not necessarily done at the end of the year.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, how are we updating it? Whether it's in the middle of the year or the end of the year,
How are we updating it?
how are we making sure that the report that goes to DPI, that talks about modifications and exiting students, how are we making sure that that is done and is done with fidelity?
Are you talking about an indicator?
I'm done.
What part of Mr. Future do you want for student service?
Just update you, our April 1 head count has been completed. These were our numbers for April 1. We were all green in compliance with those students eligible for services. We still have 2 students within awaiting eligibility, bringing a total count to 99. And then as always, you can see the category of the 97 students identified, the eligibility area of those 97 students. All right. Student services. For social and emotional, we have our social and emotional learning screener. Spring administration kicked off, the window opened on Monday, April 17th for the administration of our SEL screener, and will close on April 28th. There's a 2-week window, which we are shooting for 100% participation of our students to complete the social emotional learning survey. That should be on the slide. You should have a slide on. Okay. We are expecting to reach that goal of 100%, working with our schools and our student services staff within our schools. This will allow us to have some reliable data to inform next steps with our potential use of an SEL curriculum and implementation of SEL with our students. Any questions about social and emotional? All right, so I hope to bring some of that data back to this board in May to share with you just where our students are responding. One of the interesting things being in some scholarship interviews with students is when they ask questions about what are some of the most important things to them right now. All of them overwhelmingly talk about mental health. And I think that is a shift from where we were pre-pandemic to now. Like everybody's focused on mental health. So this becomes even more of a need and where we really got to focus on as a district. As it relates to school safety, again, all of our schools now have been trained on threat assessment. As the last board meeting, RVET was going into one that following week, but now they've been trained. So all of our schools have trained threat assessment teams. Also in your board packet, I've included some So the threat assessment is like trainings, the human capital that goes into keeping schools safe, right? All this social and emotional piece, knowing where our students are and their wellness, as well as the threat assessment teams, all kind of help us, assess where people are, right? But then there are also some physical devices that we need to look at to also further move us along to ensure that students are safe. I've included in your packet some information. It was an additional attachment from Evolve, which is an entrance screening system for students, staff, and visitors. So as students, staff, and visitors come through schools, they would be screened using this system. Principals, central office staff, and our SROs participated in a virtual meeting with an Evolve representative on March 30th. Overall, we received some very positive feedback from those who will be closest to the system in terms of its use. Our next step is I connected with the North Carolina Center for Safer Schools. They gave me some individuals who are on their state council. One being Mr. Farrell in Johnston County, who's also using Evolve system, and he has invited us to come see their opening of one of their middle schools at North Johnston Middle School. Invited a team of us to see this in action, right? Is this something now, after hearing about it, now seeing it, is this the way we also want to move forward and making a thoughtful decision and an investment in this? And that will take place for us on May 12th. And hopefully we will then be able to shortly make some recommendations about what we want screenings to look like to further enhance safety at our schools. Also, sorry.
Is it possible that some of the board members could go along with you?
Certainly let Dr. Williams know so he can coordinate that. I mean, they didn't tell me I couldn't. It would certainly be good if you all are gonna make the final approval on this to have that input. I think that'd be a great idea. So I'll let Dr. Williams coordinate that. Also, our local vendor, Security Connections, that we currently already have a partnership with, representative will be visiting Weldon Elementary and Weldon Middle School on May 2nd. Doing a site walkthrough to assess our additional camera needs. We already had one vendor come out from another company who we currently don't have a partnership with. And they kind of gave us some ideas and some the quote from them, but we also want to see what our local partner who's been working with us for many years, Security Connections, also can provide to enhance camera needs in our schools. So that'll happen on May 2nd, and then again, also be bringing that proposal also as part of a comprehensive package of the physical items that we need to improve safety. And also I've been receiving some other items that we're going to explore to look at safety systems that will be proposed for increased school safety. Did have word that the Halifax County Sheriff's Office was in the works of training someone for to be an SRO for an elementary school. Then got word that may not be happening as we initially thought. But however, that's something we continue to work for. They are having officers come in and check in in our building, but that is something we still are really pushing for. And there are other schools also, their needs throughout in terms of SRO needs. Any questions about school safety?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
I see $3 million in for school safety, student support, academic support, and parental involvement. How much of that belongs for school safety? And what are we gonna do with it? When are we gonna spend it?
$3 million in
PRC 171. 171. 181. No.
That's it, that's part of the plan. We have an ESSER group as well, committee group as well. So we haven't even, we're trying to focus on trying to spend out 171. So we haven't gotten to discuss about 181. And how we learn what we're spending at for 2024.
But, because I know we've been talking about safety and we need safety.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything connected to ESSER, I mean, it's all about what we've learned from COVID. And we can honestly know that because of mental health needs, post-COVID, we know that that's tied to school safety. So I can work with Dr. Robinson to see how, but we do know, I mean, we have to identify a fund source because it's not inexpensive. I mean, it's gonna cost to have those top of the line equipment for our students. But yeah, that can be a potential fund source to work with Dr. Robinson to get some of these things approved by yourself as board members and all the powers that be federal program grants in the state. All right, any other questions about school safety? All right, college and career ready. Something just popped in my, when I heard you ask about CACRO. So CACRO happens in the fall for us, and that was at Halifax Community College. I want to say September 30th.
Okay.
Somehow that's the date that came to my mind.
Okay.
And our students went over to
Gotcha.
participate in the CACRO that happens annually. CO Kelly scholarship information has been shared with schools. Applications are due Friday, April 28th. And so again, the schools will have their committees to make their selections of students. Also, our 2 semifinalists for the Ethel Crawley were interviewed this week, and now we'll wait final confirmation from actual Ethel Crawley representatives. Any questions about what we're doing in that area? All right, hearing none. WIOA, we did get the RFP submitted that I shared with you all on last month. Now we'll await feedback from Turning Point Workforce Development. And if they decide to accept, they will be presenting us with a proposal, and that will be coming before you all as a board for review and approval. And there's one item in action for student services that I would like for you all to consider. You should have a quote for Panorama SEL survey renewal, as well as a student success MTSS data dashboard and platform. You all made the investment last year this time. I first got here to invest in a data dashboard that will allow for SEL survey screening, as well as to help onboard this year with getting all of our data connected in one place that will eventually allow school administrators, student services, teachers, MTSS teams within schools to go to one place to see all the data about the students that we serve, right? So think about, you got multiple data sources right now that look at the whole child, right? You know, people check attendance in Power School. They put discipline data in Educator Handbook. Grades in the Power Teacher grade. EOCs are in some other portal of Power School, right? So all this data is in all these different places. And you know, when somebody got to look for data in all those places, what happens? But so what this does, it brings all that data into one place that's easy to use, easy to look at, and which makes us more likely to also use it to respond to our students' needs in both academic, social and emotional, attendance, and behavior, which are kind of the 4 areas in which we gauge MTSS, okay? And so this year, it's all been about integrating the platform. We have an MTSS district team that's been, using the data, being introduced to the platform. And then this spring, as I said, we're doing that survey, which is our launch of it. So now that we kind of got all these things in place, they've been a good partner to work with. With that 1 year that we approved last year, now we want to look at a 3-year renewal, which you all should have included in your package. And looking at using ESSER funds to purchase this product, it is certainly already been approved. Robinson has carried it up through her different levels of necessary approval, and that comes before you. And so I ask that you approve the 3-year terms of contract for Panorama for a total of $48,909, and we do get discounts for it being a multi-year contract. With the approval subject to further board review, because Attorney Weber would also have to do a contract to send, we would have to send to Panorama for them to approve it. So that's the action item.
Any changes I would negotiate would just be to the terms in Exhibit A. It wouldn't change the substance of what they're providing or what the cost is or the length of the contract. We've also negotiated a number of contracts with Panorama. I imagine you would just use what's already in place in other districts.
And you got all other districts that are already utilizing this platform, just started. So we'll be kind of on the front of being able to use this platform.
And this is coming out of ESSER.
Three.
We have a motion to approve Panoramic Education Service. A motion.
I made a motion to approve Panorama Education. That's it.
Have been moved, motion by Ms. Hale and second by Ms. Jenkins to approve the Panoramic Education. Are there any questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next, thank you. Next, in operations. Kind nutrition, School Lunch Hero Day is held annually on the first Friday in May in honor of each person responsible for providing lunches and to millions of children across America. This year, it will take place on May 5th. We look forward to celebrating our child nutrition staff during that week. Okay, any questions from child nutrition? Transportation, we are in the process of collecting data for the 2023 statewide school bus stop arm violation count. Data from previous years have been used on a segment actually by Dateline NBC and a national story that featured North Carolina school buses. And it is used annually in partnership with the North Carolina Highway Patrol as they conduct Operation Stop Arm. And so our drivers, they have a form, Mr. Tillery is sharing with the drivers. They're going to collect that input information about stop arm violations that occur during the day that they collect the data. That data will be shared with me and I'll input it to a report and send it to the state as required. Any questions about transportation and in particular Operation Stop Arm?
Young Sykes.
Mr. Putria, in light of the departure of our transportation director, who will be responsible for the duties, transportation?
And those duties are being distributed amongst several staff members.
Who are they?
Yeah, so Mr. Davis will have a intricate part and I'll share with Superintendent a detailed report to be able to share with you all exactly where everybody's going. Mr. Davis is managing the maintenance of the activity buses as well as the vehicle fleets that's in place. As you know, we get an monthly inspection from Halifax County. They oftentimes provide us things that need to be corrected. We've already, we're going to maintain the partnership that we have with some of our vendors, like White International, for example, came out today. We got to replace one of our bulbs on the back of our activity buses at 50%. Should at least be at 80% to be where it needs to be. So we've already talked Whites International, gonna get that on board. So that's one area, right?
You don't have to go into
Okay.
detail since you're gonna give it to him
Okay,
to
yeah.
send to us. I'm just asking the persons. You
Okay,
identified
oh,
Mr.
okay.
Davis.
Mr. Davis, Ms. Dickens is gonna have a role in that, on the administrative side. Mr. Tillery, of course, right hand when it comes to necessary with the everyday go of, the yellow buses and activity buses. Myself, of course, I'll be submitting, state reports, that I do. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, man, I don't wanna do that, cause they.
But I will share that tomorrow.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
We've already talked about earlier today that we'll send in the Friday update a detailed analysis of who's doing what as they current staff absorb some of those duties among us.
Next question. How much funding does transportation receive? Transportation Department.
Knowing our 056 right now, I know it's received 4. I don't have an exact dollar amount in front of me. But I know don't have that exact dollar amount in front of me.
We can update that tomorrow as well.
Okay. What are the budget transportation codes?
Well, I know we're using our 056 is our primary one we go to, and then there are some additional transportation. But because for 056 is a fund source, we got a state fund source and a local fund source.
Okay,
I believe it's 056.
okay. All right.
But I got 100 million in my head.
Okay, and the last question that I have for you, in talking about our transportation director. Who is currently handling TIMS within our district?
Good question. Right now, that is something that we have not established. Who would be the teams, because time-wise, we know we will need it because you had to get up and going once the school year begins. But that is an area that we will see has to still be distributed in terms of who will be managing that part of it.
So as important as TIMS is that something that I just use you for an example, I guess, or whoever, you all are talking about absorbing that, and I want you to think about what I'm asking before you answer the question.
Okay.
This TIMS part, is there any working arms? Because that has to be done where it stopped. That has to continue.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Riverside, what's the question? Yes, sorry.
TIMS.
Okay,
No one, you're talking about handling that, someone or the delegation of the duties as far as TIMS are concerned. TIMS is important,
yes, sir.
very important, not just to this district, but all school districts. I mean, our recent transportation director has been gone since last month.
Yes.
Who has been working that, and is there anything in place? Are there any working mechanisms as far as TIMS is concerned?
Right now, there's no current working mechanism with TIM, mainly because of, as I prioritize that transition happen quickly, just keeping the buses going, keeping the thing moving, but knowing that TIMS will need to be something in place when it's time to create new routes. Right now, the routes are in place. We have I think 120% fuel efficiency rating. And that is all based on, as you said, how important it is, that fuel efficiency rating, right? That's, you talk about dollars. And so we just know that as new routes are created, we got to have somebody in place to do that. And nothing is in place. We brainstorming, exploring what that looks like, but nothing has been finalized or in place with that.
All right.
Did I answer your question, Riverside? Or do I need to?
No, I told you, I asked you to think about what you were saying, and you gave me the answer that you wanted me to have, so I'm going to be fine with that right now.
Okay.
Well, that is the answer that is factual. contrary to popular demand or the word on the block that we contracted with Halifax. That is not true. But there are explorations and conversations as such as to how to make this work. Nothing is in place as we speak.
Was that response to me?
It's just a response, period.
Oh, I just want to make sure, I was trying to put words in my mouth. Okay,
I'm just responding, period, to whoever, whatever.
all right.
This response.
Next one's the trans.
All right, any other questions related to transportation?
Go ahead.
Facilities, just a few updates here. Our double door entrance at the Wegger multipurpose room was finally arrived, back in the fall, we had to take those doors down because of safety. They were off the hinges and, so we had those replaced, with new doors. Also, we began the process of, maintenance on cafeteria ventilation hood, fire suppression tanks. As part of our annual, testing of that equipment. Our uniforms for custodians and maintenance staff are 80% complete, by our, vendor. And that's a planned delivery date of Friday, April 28th for our, uniforms for custodial and maintenance staff.
Agreed.
Met with a fence vendor about 2 weeks ago now, who's putting together a proposal for our playground at Wegger. Kind of two levels of work that we need with the fence at Wegger. First being the need to ensure that the fence is completely enclosed without any gaps, right? So that students can't get through and that type of thing. So that's one first layer of protection. And then the second, also exploring privacy, adding privacy fencing to the current chain link fence, just add those slats would be another layer of safety being explored with that. But however, the first one is to make sure that we close off any gaps that may exist. Regular grass cutting has begun at all schools and all properties that are maintained by Weldon City Schools. We have a May 1 completion date, still working with our engineers from Progressive Design Collaborative. They continue to have us for May 1 as their completion date for the HVAC at the gym, as well as the HVAC at Weldon Elementary Global Academy. We're working with a plumber, facilities department is working with a plumber, a local plumber. For the middle school, we got some issues out there. Been ongoing, trying to get those corrected. They're trying to, diagnose it, put the cameras in the drain lines and all, and find out where our issues are. But it's going to be some extensive work to get that to a good place, especially when it's going to be more use on the plumbing system in the near future. I think that's all I have from operation side. Any other questions?
Is it athletics under operation? Is that under you?
Well, it just falls in, it falls in this area, not really operations, but it can be.
Right. I'm saying, since you presented for everybody else, I was just wondering. Is there anything we need to know? Mr. Lynch,
Don't have anything I like to hear right now on that committee. You have a question?
Oh, no, I was just waving at you.
Have you finished facilities? I had a question.
No, I can go back.
No, I just need to know, I heard about some outdoor learning for the summer. Will those outdoor stations that we talked about, we wanted to move over to the elementary school be in place by the summer? The additional ones?
I spoke with our vendor for that today, and he wants to get that back on his radar of things that he needs to plan to do. Certainly would work to get it done as quick as possible. We talked about putting them in that place right there so they could be as rain covers for students waiting for the ride in there.
And also outdoor learning.
And how we're going to, but that location wise.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, because No, one was at, we already purchased, you know, when we encumbered that for one, which was at the middle school, once we showed it, yeah, we had some conversation. And then there were 3 others, allocated, all right? And so what we probably gonna have to do is, okay, based on the size and fixture, what does that now look like at Weldon Elementary? So we talked to him today about the change order necessary based on what we previously asked. Yeah.
When will our gymnasium be finished and completed?
Progressive Design Collaborative, that's still a May 1 timeline on that.
Okay.
They have not pushed us back any further. We've been very adamant that this needs to get done. The engineer, I've actually been in meetings with me, working with his subcontractors and pushing them to get it ready. By May 1, we got some planned events coming up, and we told them that it needs to be ready.
Okay, thank you.
If anything changes, I'll keep you updated, but you know, things happen, when it comes to, you know, projects such as that. Okay, all right. Now, Mr. Miller is online with us, so I'll now let him present his data. Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Futrell. Good evening, board members, chair, vice chair, and superintendent. For our COVID-19 testing program participants, we have a district-wide total of 365 participants, 4 at central services. 25 at the early college. We have an additional 9 participants, which are students at the elementary school, for a total of 166 at that location. An additional 8 students at the high school, with a total of 86 at that location, and 84 at the middle school.
Mr. Miller,
Yes, ma'am.
I know that one time we asked about the COVID test. And having those readily available. Does each school have some or no?
Yes, ma'am. We distributed the at-home COVID test kits the week before spring break.
Do we have some at our central office as well? In case that. Right.
Yes, ma'am, we should. I'm not 100% sure, but I distributed them to all 5 locations in the district.
Thank you.
Mhm. Our positive cases as of today, as far as students, we haven't had any. The last case was February 6th. And with our staff members, the last case was February 13th, and we haven't had a case since then as well. Any questions?
That'll be all. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, that concludes my portion.
Okay, Nate, we are scheduled for a break. Do you want to have a break or move on?
Move on.
Move on.
I'm good. I said, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Do we have anyone for public forum?
Yes, we did have Ms. Regina Brooks, and she was here, and then I saw her leave.
Okay.
She's gone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then next we entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Dr. Williams, can we receive a copy of B?
Work session B?
No, consent agenda
Oh, I'm sorry.
B. Did you receive it?
That-
Uh-huh.
Was that uploaded in the?
Wait. Did you see it, Dawn? I didn't. I didn't either.
Is the attachment is simply, it was done on Tuesday after the package was distributed and created. So.
Okay. Okay, so usually after we receive our package, we don't go back to assembly, we read what's in our package. Because it's kind of hard to read it on the computer sometimes. That's why we ask for the package. Can we table that?
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Is there anything had to be done? Right.
We haven't been.
I mean, I have had a copy, but I don't,
Where in lieu of,
I could submit it to you all tomorrow.
okay, and then we add on to
tomorrow.
the next meeting.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you referencing to 9A as well, the internet safety policy?
Yes, that's part of the consent agenda, but she had a question about B,
Okay,
and they hadn't seen B, so we want to table B.
okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so B being tabled, then that will leave internet safety policy code 3226 for the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the internet safety policy code 3226.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Barry Robinson and second by Ms. Kim Robinson to approve the internet safety policy code 3226. Are there any questions? All in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Ms. Hale had to leave. Attorney Weber, we recessed from closed session. We need to go back into closed session now. I know we already done the agenda, but can we skip and go to 11? And then, since we gotta go back and close,
To reorganize. You could table action from close until the end of the meeting. Is that what you're proposing?
yes, sir.
So it would be a motion to table 11 until the end of.
No, he's
It's
saying,
table 10.
can we go ahead on with number 11 and just circle back and get action from closed session at the end? Can we take care of everything?
Go back
else?
to closed
Right,
session.
so it's an agenda item. One way to move it would be just table it.
Move it, we
Tabling
table.
means to
Right.
move something for action and consideration during the same meeting. So procedurally, you could table it, and that would allow you to move on to number 11.
Okay. So I need a motion then, right? Motion to table number 10.
I move that we table action from closed session.
Second.
Then motion by Ms. Kim Robbins, second by Ms. Barry Robbins to table number 10 on the agenda. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, now we have we have a NCSBA policy review. Who had that?
That is for you all to review, as you all did in February for the previous policies. These are updated policies that was provided by the North Carolina School Board Association that has been updated that you all need to review and approve in the next board.
Okay, this is the next board meeting.
Question.
Brother Cyrus.
Is this supposed to be the first read?
Yes, for first reading.
Can we get a copy of it? I didn't see it. It wasn't in the packet, right?
Some pages, but I will give a copy.
Thank you.
Would a digital copy suffice?
Through the email? Yes. I mean, I can't speak for it.
Because
It's a lot.
it's a,
Okay,
So
that's fine.
are we tabling this then since?
It's not for.
It's not, it's not an action, that's just for next meeting.
So then, okay, what I'm asking then. Next meeting will be the first reading.
This meeting is the first read. Next meeting will be for consent on the consent agenda.
you'll get
Like
Because
we
they're
did.
gonna send it, and then we'll have a chance to look at it, and then we can, vote on it in the second meeting, but we will have had.
You'll have it tomorrow.
I know that, but I'm saying why would we approve this as a first read and we haven't received it to read it?
That you can receive it tomorrow
It's nothing to approve, you just get it and read
for
over it
review.
with your review. There's no approval.
Okay,
I know it's no approval, but what I'm asking is, if we're gonna receive it tomorrow, how can this constitute as a part of the meeting as a first read for something that we haven't even, I know we're not approving it tonight.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
That's all I was saying.
so, you want to receive, it, then we had a first read in, May.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do. then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, budget work session, I think, Rubber Site, you had something on the 25th and the 27th, so with the 24th.
No, I text you and Ms. Helen told you that I was no longer available on the 24th, so I'm good with the 25th.
25th, okay,
I don't know what everybody else is, but when I saw it, I went on and
Right,
communicated.
right,
Yeah,
it's the 25th, you okay?
yeah, I'm good with the 25th.
How did it work for everyone else?
I could do the 24th, but not the 25th.
Okay, let me
Is 25th
Well,
good for
there's
everybody else?
a little something into where we are. The budget has to, the final budget has to be to the county commission by May the 15th. So we're trying to get a chance when we can look at the budget and submit it before that time. We didn't wait, we didn't go to the second Thursday because it would have put maybe 3 days in there. And with the discussion, that may not have happened. So we're trying to do this as early as possible.
Ms. Whitman, I'm good with 25th. I am personally, but I'll throw out another date that I'm good. That will be exactly 2 weeks before. I'm good also on May 1st. I mean, that'll push us over into a couple of days into the next week, but we still won't be pushing, right up against,
Right.
like you saying.
I can do May 1st.
May 1st,
My next week is full.
okay. How does it May 1st work for everyone?
I can work that out.
So we
Wait.
moving out the 25th.
Right,
I thought
Yes.
we were-
Ms. Kim Robinson, you say you good May the 1st?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Barry Robinson,
I can work that out.
okay, Ms.
Yes, sir.
Harrison, Ms. Jenkins, May the 1st. Ms. Jenkins, May the 1st.
What day is it?
Monday,
Monday.
a Monday.
Can you make it?
What time?
Oh, no, I want to get the date first.
Thankful, I said May 1st.
Oh, okay. Time 5:30.
I'm good with it.
That works.
Ms. Harrison.
Fine.
5:30, Ms. Jenkins. All right, Reverend Syke.
Yes, sir. I'm good with that.
Okay, then, so the policy, the budget work session would be May the 1st at 5:30. We're gonna meet at the central office, central service,
Yes, sir.
at central service. Okay, the next item on the agenda, did you want to speak to that or you want me?
Yeah, so the proposed date that Hal and his team has given us for the tour of the Herbert Akins Road Middle School in Fuquay is May the 5th at 10:00 a.m. That's the date they have scheduled with the school or the board?
I don't plan to go. I'll be out of town. No problem. Please go on with that date.
Yes, it's good for me. Okay, that's good.
If you don't mind, would you send the address to that school, tomorrow?
Okay, the next item would be Superintendent Thresh. Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Yes, I placed this item on the agenda because of what we've been talking about all night, and that being our funds. And we just need to be mindful of spending at this point. And I just think we need to think about that before we go in and make a lot of purchases and have to rearrange things in our finances. So I think we need to keep that in mind, what may happen to our finances come July 1.
Well, maybe.
So we put a moratorium on spending any large purchases unless it is a clear revenue fund or funding source. And or that we have to expend funds before they be reverted or expire. So no one can just purchase stuff from 2 weeks ago, moving forward to the end of the school year without it coming to my attention so we could sign off on it. Unless it is something that is from funds that can be spent for the purpose in which it is intended. And it's not coming from funds that we will need to carry over for next year in the event we need them.
Oh, did you send it in an update? Did you send that in an update?
Did I?
Yes, ma'am.
I did not,
Okay,
but that went to the
But-
staff.
okay, but thank you for being proactive. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the E for assistant principal position at Weldon Middle School, I think we already discussed that.
Yeah, that was just.
Next, spending restrictions, Ms. Barrett Robinson.
I guess they kind of go along with us needing to watch our dollars that we spend, especially since we've talked several times tonight about us possibly not getting those funds. I think we just need to look at what we are. You've kind of touched on that a little bit, and that also goes in line with travel restrictions. We're at the end of the school year. We really need to watch our dollars and look at our travel.
Would like to update the board with something that we would need to do as soon as possible if you see fit. Because the board's budget is in the red and there's no funds in the budget for the board. So you would have to meet and conclude to transfer funds out of the fund balance over to the board's budget if you all do any further travel or any further anything. Because we are, how much in the red already, Edwards?
Approximately 12,000 just in the board account, the old one.
So overall, I'm talking about board, staff, superintendent, everybody.
Correct, but I just want to say, if you all want to,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to take some action if you want to do some further summer trips and conferences and stuff like that. Because there's no more funds on the board.
How long has that been in the red?
I guess this last trip we just did kind of put us over.
Okay. Oh, okay. So-
Go ahead, Ms. Robinson.
When do we expect to receive something from finance to make that decision, or can we do that at the budget work session?
I would submit you could do it at the budget work session in as much as you're dealing with budgets. That's what you're dealing with anyway,
Why?
and that could be the an action of the board.
I know the summer conference is coming up.
Correct.
Right.
But if you're talking about restricting travel, I mean, that you all make that determination, but
Right.
Because I was gonna say that like I said, if summer conference is coming up, I'm not sure when registration open.
It has
but
opened,
it
hasn't it?
open- I think it's open, and usually there's a early bird special.
Did we get a year Fantasia?
And not only that, if you're gonna do hotels, there, you have to be inside that frame, so if we go too far,
Right.
we may be too late to even get in the conference, much less hotel rooms.
Have you made reservations yet, Fantasia?
I haven't made it for everyone because I haven't got everyone dates. So.
Do you have something today for us to fill out
For the date,
for the dates? Because you know, it's a policies and not, then it's the other part.
right, I didn't have anything today for you all to fill out for your dates. I was just seeing that I sent the email and it had the dates up there. I'm an email person. So I would just,
So did everybody respond?
everyone responded
Okay.
and some said they needed to send me specific things, so I'm just waiting on those dates from those specific.
Have you
Right.
responded to those people that said they needed specific day? So have you followed up, I guess is what
I didn't follow up because I was just saying like, if you just told me, that's my expectation that you would tell me those specific dates.
So the thing that Miss Kitty gave us was very helpful at the beginning of the year, where you check what you want, and then she will follow up with dates later.
Reverend Sykes.
Can I just ask my fellow board members in this respect, rather than each one of us staying all week, can we kind of, since we already know that we're trying to cut back, and it is important that we go because the policy part and, you know, then the second part, can we kind of decide or divvy up? You know, some of us go the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, whether what is it? Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because that part ends Wednesday, and then the second part is Thursday and Friday. Can we kind of, you know, decide that, you know, kind of split it up a little bit, then that'll help us cut back. I'm just throwing something out. That's something for us, when we come together on the first, we kind of think about it tonight and we can decide.
And it's in a different place this year.
Yes, and right.
It's always been in Carolina since.
It was in Wrightsville Beach, I understood at one time, then they switched it to Carolina Beach. Now they going back.
Okay, so we discussed that, make it first. Grants,
I placed that up there. We need to probably apply for some additional grants pending federal and state funding. And this is kind of like grant season right now this spring for the fall, so we need to probably look at some additional grants to kind of supplement anything that will be cut from us or withheld.
okay, next be school calendar. For work.
I put that up there. What date was it? We were invited to the Board of Elections and they invited all the school systems and they asked us to close school down on 2 days for this year. And I do believe that that was changed in our calendar. We probably need to vote on the updated calendar because we haven't approved that updated one with the changes. We closed school and we were given a request that they also would like for our staff to apply to work the polls as well, because their poll workers are going up in age and they really need a new people that they can train to come in and start working. That's another opportunity for our teachers and staff members to take a part in their community activities on those days. So they will pay, they pay for it.
And also to go along with that, other school districts within our county was there as well. And they kind of, you know, agreed that they were going to do that because of the possibility, you know, school may need to be a place to actually, you know, hold it, be a polling site. And it does if teachers or parents, you know, agree to do it to be a poll worker, you know, in that respect. There is a minimal stipend. Now, the Board of Elections budget has not been approved just yet, but they were putting some things in there to, you know, increase the stipend. So teachers and employees, you know, they take advantage of that. It's a minimal training that they want you to go through, but it wouldn't be, you know, they're giving up their school day, they per se, they would get a stipend if they, you know, would work the polls. So they were trying to do that as well.
And Dr. Williams, we did, and Mr. Williams, we did let them know that the high school would be available in November, but would not be available in March.
Yes, ma'am. I know that we've corrected and updated that on our school calendar. Dr. Carpenter indicated she didn't put it up on the, she didn't post it because she didn't know what. But we've changed, and those are optional work days for our staff. Those 2 dates that in question of, for election purposes.
It just needs to come before us for approval.
So we'll bring that to you next month.
Okay, board and superintendent support, NCSBA and DBI.
I think, Dr. Williams kind of touched on that a little bit, in his updates about the support that he is, receiving from, but I didn't see anything from DPI or anything, but I did see that you said you're working with.
Me personally,
Uh-huh.
well, I've always had a, superintendent coach.
Right, but I'm saying, I know we were looking at, when we were talking about trainings and all, support, we were talking about for the board and for superintendent, and I think it was it Ms. Hale? That somebody mentioned something about some training or something for the board.
I mentioned that. We probably covered that something when we go into closed session.
Okay,
Okay, time clock is Barry Robinson.
I know that was that was mentioned before, so that was just a question that I wanted to know, is that something that was still being considered or no? I hadn't heard it in a while, so that's why I had actually asked Ms. Hale, and, but since she's right here, I won't speak behind her, so. Okay,
I mean, I don't know anything about the time slot
well, it was something that came up a while ago,
or sometimes
So,
like I mean.
so I was
Previously,
wondering where we. Okay,
If I can, Ms. Williams, real quick, when we talked about time clocks, and it's been a year and a half ago
at least,
if not just a little bit longer. We talked about it, trying to help eliminate some of those, leave forms having to fill out and having to keep up with all of that paperwork. And it would be, clock in, clock out, things of that nature, kind of trying to do things in a little more electronic fashion when it was presented to us. And we were, of course, ready to do that at the time, but we had some changing of the guard and it kind of got, thrown by the wayside, so.
excuse me, Dr. Williams, I know we had said there were some questions for us, didn't Ms. Seriously? This, the attorney said the questions that we have, we needed to be included.
I mean, I don't know if she left, she saw her go out, but I don't know if she's gone. Can you check on Ms. Steels? I mean, she may have gone to the restaurant for us. I don't know.
yeah, that's what the time clock leave form. Barry Robinson.
Okay, yeah, that was a question, about, I mean, how are we doing that? Are we submitting the leave forms when people, I know we should be, but are we actually submitting leave forms when people are out, or how is that being handled? Is that handled through HR?
I would think through HR or through it goes to let's say if it's in operations, I would like to think anyone that works under Mr. Futrell would provide a leave form to him, and it goes to HR and then to superintendent. I'd like to think that's what's going on. That someone is out sick, I mean, there's just something that I may not
Get
see.
back.
Aaron is Barry Robinson.
Kind of touched on that a little bit today.
DPI funding,
I think we've already talked about that too, but we're in jeopardy.
old budget. Barry Robinson. Cover that.
I guess we'll be on
Yeah,
May first.
we gonna do that, maybe.
May first.
Okay. Charge Academy, we talked about that. Okay. All right, then, motion to go back into closed session.
Motion to return to closed session.
Second,
Motion by Robert Sykes and second by Ms. Barry Ross that we return to closed session. Are there any questions? All in favor, aye? All opposed? Motion passes.